Welcome to the GameMaker FastTrack. So here's the situation. You've got something that's starting to look like a game, but it's confined to a tiny room and a tiny window, and you don't really know what to do about that. Well, let's make things big. First of all, let's go ahead and expand the size of our base room. Feel free to mess around with things, maybe make a few little structures out of your wall objects. Now you've got a bigger space to move around in, but the camera's all zoomed out because your view is currently decided by your first room. So let's make an object called Camera Manager. As soon as the game starts, it's going to do a few things to make the game full screen and make sure we're not seeing further than we want to. There's a lot you can do to make this work on multiple resolutions, but for now let's just make sure it works on yours. First, you'll need to make a new room for the game to start in. Don't worry, this isn't replacing your main room, it's just an intermediary to make sure the settings are adjusted before anything is displayed. Use this code to make sure the game window correctly corresponds to your display. Then, center the window, tell the game to go to the next room, and make sure to turn on borderless windows in settings. With that, you've got a simple borderless full screen. We're dealing with a lot of technical functions here, so feel free to examine these functions in more detail later, but know that we're changing the size of both the window and the application surface, which you can think of as the resolution of the game itself. Having a smaller application surface, relative to the size of your display, can really make your game look pixely, which may be your intent. Resolution is an important aesthetic decision, so decide on one early and stick to it. Now then, for the movement of the camera itself. We're going to make Camera Manager persistent to make sure it survives between rooms. Then, put this code in the end step of Camera Manager, and use this to get the room's main camera and the average locations of each enemy and the player, and then use a function called lerp to smoothly move the camera's actual position towards that average position. Start the game and you'll now be able to walk around in a room that's bigger than the screen itself, with the camera following you. It's a bit complex beyond the scope of the fast track, but you can also use this camera system to zoom in and out by making this camera system interact with the same functions we use for the resolution. If you want to experiment with this, I'll have the more complex code commented in the example code I link in the description. Next time, you'll be learning how to easily make variants of objects to avoid redundant code. See you then!